Now to a cover story, and if you haven't heard Facebook, data breach and elections in one sentence, you've probably been living under a rock, or in today's lingo, offline. So for the benefit of all, we'll start from the very beginning. The first reports came on Sunday. News broke of a massive data breach involving Facebook and a UK-based analytics firm. It's called Cambridge Analytica. Headlines soon talked about election scandals. Analysts weighed in on whether it was time to delete Facebook. All this while, that's 4 full days, the man at the center of the storm, Mark Zuckerberg, founder and CEO of Facebook and a strong proponent of staying connected always, remained offline himself. No word from him, no explanation on whether your data has been misused. Finally, he has spoken up. In a word, he hasn't denied wrongdoing. In detail, he's explained his position, no prizes for guessing, on a Facebook post. Zuckerberg wrote, and I'm quoting, "We have a responsibility to protect your data, and if we cannot, then we don't deserve to serve you. I've been working to understand exactly what happened and how to make sure this doesn't happen again. The good news is that the most important actions to prevent this from happening again today, we have already taken years ago. But we also made mistakes. There's more to do, and we need to step up and do it." We made mistakes, he says. He also said that he had banned Cambridge Analytica from using any of the services provided by Facebook. It's too little too late, say experts. Listen to one such who says that Facebook turned a blind eye to the mistakes it is now referring to.
Reaction is, it's a start, a little late in coming, but it's good to see Facebook is beginning to take some responsibility for what happened here. That said, first of all, I don't think they're actually taking enough responsibility yet.
Interestingly, Zuckerberg also maintained that he's open to an investigation. Remember, lawmakers in various countries are talking about grilling him, from the UK to the US to even India. There's a chance that he may have to face questions from Parliament. For the moment, he said that he will be happy to testify before the US Congress. He was at pains to point out that he's not running away. He's open to answering every question that comes his way. While speaking to a news network, Zuckerberg said, and I quote, "I'm happy to testify before the Congress if that is the right thing to do. Typically, there are people whose job is focused on an area, but I would imagine at some point that there would be a topic where I'm the sole authority on, and that would make sense for me to do, and I'll be happy to do it at that point." Not like he had much of a choice, considering that he is the accused party here. Zuckerberg also addressed the issue of regulation and privacy laws, and I'm quoting again, "I actually am not sure we shouldn't be regulated. I actually think the question is more, what is the right regulation rather than yes or no? Should it be regulated?" And those are the words of Mark Zuckerberg, whatever they mean. There's a lot of grey here. Laws are different in different countries, and most laws have not been able to foresee the issues that may arise. But we'll come to that later. For the moment, let's focus on what this means for Facebook. This is easily the company's biggest crisis in its 14-year history, and it certainly is not limited to possible lapses and bad PR. It's affecting the bottom line, and that's what matters in a business. Sample the share prices in the last few days, and you'll know the full story of Facebook. The stock value plummeted by a whopping $60 billion in just 2 days. Look at that graph. The company is said to have lost close to 8% of its market value. Investors were particularly alarmed for the last 3 days. And in no small measure thanks to Zuckerberg's silence. His statement for the moment may have steadied the ship, but only so much. Now there's talk of possible insider trading. The charge is that Zuckerberg saw this coming, and instead of fixing the problem, he was busy saving his money. 2 weeks before the scandal broke, Mark Zuckerberg sold 1.14 million shares. How did it help him? He has saved up to $70 million, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission in America. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg has sold more Facebook stock in the last 3 months than any insider in any other company anywhere in the world. He has sold 5.4 million shares in the last year and has made up to $980 million in the process. What's worse, he's tried to make a virtue of it by claiming that all of this selling of shares is for philanthropic purposes. Facebook spokeswoman Vanessa Chan said that he had set up a philanthropic investment organization with his wife. It's called the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative. In a regulatory filing, Zuckerberg said that he plans to sell at least $6 billion worth of stock to fund this organization. Essentially, he's trying to tell us that he's doing all of this for the larger good. He does sound like a politician, doesn't he? Well, his story has had major political ramifications in India. The data breach has set the cat among the pigeons of Indian politics. First, the facts. 3 parties in India, the opposition Congress party, the ruling BJP and the JDU, have at different points in time used the services of Cambridge Analytica, the data mining company at the center of this controversy. It's not clear if this act was wrong legally or just ethically. What is clear is that social media platforms, including Facebook, impact user choices by sending targeted ads and propaganda on their timelines. Now, the politics over this, it follows the pattern that we all know. They're all blaming each other. The ruling BJP has accused the Congress party of having links with the disgraced data firm Cambridge Analytica. It has accused the Congress of resorting to data theft and data manipulation to win elections. It has questioned the role of Cambridge Analytica in the social media management of both the Congress party and its president, Rahul Gandhi. Sure enough, the Congress has hit back, challenging the Election Commission of India, no less, to find out the real clients of Cambridge Analytica in India. The fact is that if being this company's client is a crime, both the parties, the BJP and the Congress, are guilty. It is now a matter of who spins a more convincing web of lies, and that's where data mining and data manipulation comes in. Whose posts are you reading? Whose version do you believe? It's a vicious circle, or in India they would say it's a jalebi. Take your pick.
हम पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ कहना चाहते हैं कि राहुल गांधी की पूरी सोशल मीडिया कैंपेन में कैम्ब्रिज एनालिटिका का पूरा इन्वॉल्वमेंट रहा है, उनका मिलना भी हुआ है और इसीलिए कल हमने वो सवाल उठाए थे। और कांग्रेस पार्टी इस सच्चाई से भाग नहीं सकती। अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी अपने बारे में लगे इतने गंभीर समाचार पर कोई प्रतिवाद नहीं कर सकती तो कांग्रेस पार्टी को क्षमा करेंगे, देश चलाने का अधिकार नहीं है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी, जनता दल यूनाइटेड और कैम्ब्रिज एनालिटिक्स का व्यापारिक गठबंधन अब बेनकाब हो चुका है। सारे मंत्रालय ठप हैं, केवल अफवाह और झूठ का मंत्रालय बड़ी मेहनत से काम कर रहा है। डेटा जहां से चोरी हुआ, फेसबुक, वो भी मोदी जी के मित्र मार्क और मोदी जी भाई भाई का नारा जो देकर आए थे, डेटा जिसने चोर किया वो भी आपके दोस्त, फिर भी चोर मचाए शोर।
Well, some of you have written to us and asked why all of this is a big deal. So what if somebody has access to my posts which reflect my political preference? How bad can that be? Others say, how much impact can this have in a country like India? Yes, the number of mobile phone users has grown exponentially, but how many of those are smartphones? And how many of the smartphone users in India are on Facebook? And an even smaller subset, how many of those who are on Facebook and have a smartphone go to vote? The best answer, as always, is in the numbers. So let's take a look at the numbers. By June this year, India will have 500 million internet users, which is why social media giants of the world like Facebook and Twitter are taking India very seriously. According to a report last year, India has more Facebook users than any other country in the world, more than 240 million to be exact. But here is the number that matters the most. While 65% of the urban population in India has access to internet, only 20% of the rural population in this country can go online. In other words, internet usage in rural India is still critically low. A report by the Internet and Mobile Association of India claims that there are 98 million internet users in rural India compared to nearly 183 million users in urban centers. So while Facebook has never shared the specifics about its users in India, it is safe to assume that the citizens living in villages of this country are still out of the sphere of Facebook's influence. So if Facebook is influencing elections, it may be having a limited impact for a large portion of India's electorate. A bigger influencer, some would say, may be WhatsApp. Videos go viral. People tend to believe a lot of the information they get on WhatsApp without verifying it, but that's out of the realm of this investigation. So an accurate assessment of the impact of this data breach on elections may be difficult to make. But this political storm, we can tell you, is not unique to India. Facebook may have meddled in elections elsewhere, which is why governments across the world are mulling action against it. It may not be easy to proceed. It may be easy to make those charges. Remember, this data breach scandal involves one company that is based in the US, that's Facebook, and another that is based out of the UK, that's Cambridge Analytica. And then there are laws. Facebook, let's start with the US, is being investigated in the US by the Federal Trade Commission of the country. The Congress has summoned Mark Zuckerberg. They're going to question him. They're going to grill him on what happened. Next comes the United Kingdom. That's where Cambridge Analytica is based. This is the UK. Authorities here are working round the clock to build a case against this company. The Information Commission in the UK has sought a warrant to search the offices of Cambridge Analytica. A key parliamentary committee has also summoned Mark Zuckerberg. Let's go further east, and this is Germany. Germany is also looking at this case. It has demanded an explanation from a Facebook official. It wants to know if the profiles of users in Germany, there are 30 million Facebook users in Germany, if those profiles were protected. That's the question that German lawmakers are asking. Further down south, we come to Brazil. Another huge country. Brazilian authorities are investigating if Cambridge Analytica acted illegally in their country ahead of the elections. And finally, as we've been telling you, this is India, and this is a huge storm in India. The government of India is talking about fixing the problem. The information technology minister has warned Facebook against data misuse and said that the government could summon Mark Zuckerberg to explain his position. Now, what's important to note is the fact that political statements comprise largely of bombast. The clincher is the law. The question is Facebook then on the wrong side of the law? And how much in which country? The European Union has one of the most stringent data protection standards worldwide. Companies have to disclose data breaches to their clients. It's the nightmare of tech firms. In fact, the EU is looking to tighten its rules further. The new data rules will give online users a choice to opt out of highly targeted online ads, a tool that has turned companies like Facebook into money spinners. That's not all. Companies will have to present requests for users' consent in an easily accessible form using clear and plain language. In other words, terms of service agreements written in small text will no longer be valid in Europe. That's a huge step. The United States does not have any general privacy laws. They vary in each state. While there are recommendations for internet companies by the Federal Trade Commission, these are merely ethics. They're not binding by law. Canada has a principal data privacy law that provides individuals with the right to withdraw consent with regard to the data that they're sharing. It requires businesses to destroy personal information that is no longer needed. In Australia, internet companies have to comply with privacy principles when they are collecting information that could identify a user personally. They can also give users the option to remain anonymous when possible. When it comes to data protection in India, the country has a lot of catching up to do. Unlike European Union and many other countries in the West, companies in India do not have to disclose data breaches to clients, which means that if they're misusing your data or mine, they're not obliged by the law to tell you or me. Clearly, in matters of data privacy, India is at a nascent stage. There is no specific law for data protection in this country. There's just a provision in the Information Technology Act that guards individuals against a breach of privacy. In the wake of so many data breaches, though, a committee in India has been set up to draft a data protection bill. The panel is working on the framework of a data protection law, but nothing concrete has materialized so far. So we come to the question, is data harvesting an out-and-out wrong practice? Should no one do it? No. If you have taken a user's consent, you can use his or her data. Take, for example, the case of Australia's Gold Coast Council. It's an interesting example. This Gold Coast Council is going to host the Commonwealth Games in 2 weeks' time. And the council has declared that it will use Wi-Fi service to harvest Facebook data from visitors. It has set up free Wi-Fi hubs around the city. Those who want access to high-speed version of the free Wi-Fi will have to enter their Facebook details. This data will then be collected. The city council says that data mining is legal in that country. What will they do with this data? They say that they'll use it to market themselves better to tourists. Users will also be given the option of access to Wi-Fi without giving their Facebook details, but the speed they'll get will be slower. So you have to make a choice. A city spokeswoman has said that data would not be shared with other agencies, although reports about tourist activity based on the information could be made available to the tourism sector. The Gold Coast Council released a statement saying, and I'm quoting, "It should be stated that the city takes very seriously the protection of users' data and information. The city will not be carrying out retrospective analysis of people's Facebook accounts." At least that's what they're promising. Well, one would say that's a fair way to go about data mining. Unfortunately, most agencies act on the sly, and most countries do not have sufficient regulation to prevent it. Life, they say, in the 21st century was supposed to be simple. Technology has enabled real-time communication between people living in remote corners of the planet. Traveling around the world has become cheaper and quicker. Infrastructure development has ensured a comfortable life across major cities. But if a UNESCO report is to be believed, 50% of the world's population will not have access to clean drinking water. That's the bare minimum you need to live. UNESCO says that more than 3 billion people currently live in areas that suffer from water scarcity for at least 1 month in a year. This number is expected to rise to 5 billion by 2050. That report says at least half of the world's population will struggle to quench its thirst. The report also says that an increase in demand from various industries, agriculture and a growing population is putting pressure on the water cycle. Climate change is also one of the reasons behind this increasing water scarcity. And India is staring at a cruel irony. Today, we are talking about it because it's World Water Day today. According to a report by a global advocacy group, India has the highest number of people, 163 million to be exact, without access to clean drinking water. 163 million people. What's worse, India has more smartphones and mobile internet users than people with access to clean drinking water. Talk about priorities. The report says that while there is a significant improvement in access to clean drinking water, India still faces major challenges. Falling groundwater levels, drought, pollution and poor resource management are major hurdles toward ensuring that every Indian citizen gets clean drinking water. Another report on the water crisis by UNESCO paints a rather grim picture. The report says that India could face an intensified water crisis by 2050. As much as 40% of renewable surface water resources could dry up by then. So what would happen if we were to ignore these warnings? Look at Cape Town in South Africa. A severe water crisis there is threatening to cut off water supply to over 4 million people. And it's not the only city that stares at a dry spell. The clock is ticking for at least 11 other cities, including one from India, that may run out of water in the near future.
After a severe water crisis has hit South Africa's capital, Cape Town, the drought-stricken city is expected to run completely out of water in 3 months. This date has been dubbed as Day Zero. Hundreds of Cape Town residents are now being forced to stand in long queues to stock up on whatever little water they can get their hands on.
I think there's going to be chaos. I mean, I hope Day Zero never comes, but I can see with people wanting to come here and the desperation for water, I think we're still going to realize that water is more valuable than oil. I don't want to be too critical, but I think better plans should have been put in place a long time already.
We use our shower water, which we put into the toilets, and of course we wash in a little basin, and we bucky wash when we take a shower. So that has been a major change for us.
But Cape Town, it seems, is just the tip of the iceberg. A quarter of the world's major cities are facing water shortages. 11 major cities are most likely going to run out of drinking water soon. Some of the cities are capitals, while others are major financial or tourist hubs. But this does not make them immune to a looming water crisis. One of Brazil's biggest cities, Sao Paulo, is the most likely to run out of water in the near future. It went through a similar ordeal as Cape Town in 2015 when the main reservoir in Sao Paulo fell below the 4% capacity level. Taking the second spot is the Indian IT hub of Bengaluru. Not a single lake in the city is suitable for drinking or bathing due to severe water pollution. Toxic froth has become an all-too-familiar sight in Bengaluru's largest lakes, the Bellandur and Varthur. And believe it or not, last month a massive fire broke out in the Bellandur lake that raged for 7 hours. Property development projects and outdated drainage systems make matters worse for Bengaluru residents. Poor air quality is not the only issue Beijing residents have to deal with. China is home to almost 20% of the world's population, but has only 7% of the world's fresh water. Official figures from 2015 showed that 40% of Beijing's surface water was polluted to the point of not being useful even for agriculture or industrial use. A surprising entry on the list is London. Though the city is known for its overcast and rainy weather, it gets only half the rainfall New York receives. London draws 80% of its water from rivers Thames and River Lea. The coastal city of Miami is a tropical paradise, but its seawater is the exact reason behind the looming water crisis. An early 20th century project to drain nearby swamps had an unforeseen result. Water from the Atlantic Ocean contaminated the Biscayne aquifer, the city's main source of fresh water. Despite covering about 70% of the Earth's surface, drinking water is not as plentiful as one might think, as only 3% of it is fresh. The impending day zero in Cape Town is a stark reminder of the ugly reality which may not even spare the richest and the largest cities. Bureau Report, WION.
And breaking news coming in, the White House has taken the first steps to restrict Chinese investment and put tariffs on $50 billion in Chinese imports for stealing technology. This is something that is coming on expected lines. Remember, China had warned Donald Trump against taking such a step, saying that it will lead to a trade war. And the White House has finally gone ahead and decided to do that. We will dwell on this in just a bit on Today Tonight.